Hi, and welcome to another episode, a live episode of That's It, That's All podcast here with me, your host, Alina. I'm just waiting on my special guest, Johnathan Sales Walker, here today. And we're just going to be discussing, um, we're just going to be discussing like our experience when it comes to being black and trying to work in this industry here, basically how, interviewing for positions and being qualified for a position and still not getting the job. um so today we're going to talk about it. We're definitely going to shed some light on these things here. So I'm not sure if he's jumped on just yet or not, but I am just waiting on him here to jump on, and as soon as he jumps on, we're gonna get into it. We are definitely gonna get into it. How is everyone doing on this Saturday? All right, he's here. He is here. He is here. You made it. Hi.
Hello there.
How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I am doing well on this Saturday here.
On this blessed Saturday.
This blessed Saturday.
If we were in Midwest, from Michigan today, it's Sweetest Day. So people, now that I live on the West Coast, they don't know what that is. So
Ain't it a beautiful thing?
they don't know what that is. They
They
say,
have
"Oh,
they have no clue what it is. I like it here. I will actually say that is one of the joys of living here on the West Coast and dating on the West Coast is no one has a clue what Sweeties Day is. And I like it. But to those who are watching from back home and far and near and that does know what Sweeties Day is, happy Sweeties Day to everyone. Um, Definitely make sure that you're being sweet to yourself and sweet on who is sweet to you.
that is a word for
Ain't it
today."
though? Ain't it though? So tell us about yourself, Johnathan. Come on.
Well, about me, I'm Midwest, Michigan. Born and raised Detroit. Um, Educated from Detroit, Michigan, Wayne State University. I have a undergrad bachelor's in science and psychology with a concentration in math, and I have a master's degree in exercise science, kinesiology, sports psychology concentration. I am married, and I now reside in Seattle, Washington.
Okay. And so just so people know, I have actually been knowing Johnathan probably all my life.
Yeah.
His was it your grandmother or was
My
it
grandparents, lived on the same street her father and her grandmother lived on. So yep, we have been knowing each other all our lives. Yep.
yeah. Okay, so this topic today is like very near and dear to my own particular heart because it seems like when you're young and you're educated and do I dare say black and you go out for these jobs that you qualify for and it's like you check every box. They praise you in the interviews and then you a couple of days later or maybe a couple of weeks later, sometimes not even at all, you don't get anything back from these employers. And so what's your experience? How have you been having this experience yourself?
Um, More so now than back in Midwest. So I am in the fitness industry, in the world of management of fitness sales and reporting, and in Midwest, more so than out here, I would say it was more of a fishbowl. Everybody was pretty much trying to do the same thing, and we now live in a world of Instagram, so it makes your chances a little bit harder because everybody's trying to do the same thing. Now within corporate America, when you go out for these job interviews, like I feel like most of the time, the resume speaks for itself. You're presented with on paper, and then when you meet in person, one or two things can happen. They either fall in love with you, you match up with the resume, or you become a threat. And most of the time, I am a threat because you, as you said, like you mark off you're educated, and then you have that thing of being African American. So how do you maneuver yourself and push yourself forward? And a lot of that is just through being honestly the best one qualified for that position through your delivery. And you don't want to give anyone a reason to kind of count you out. So I feel like one of the disadvantages we have to do more than our subordinates. We got to do a little bit more. Unfair, but it's
So
the truth.
do do you think that your name gets you in the door a lot, like because you have that not so typical black name? Because Jonathan,
Honestly, I never really thought about that, but it may, you know, and that's a never thought about that. That's a good point. Maybe, because I hate to say it, some people may, prejudge you based upon what they see on a resume. They try to paint a picture of what they think you're going to be, and then when they don't get what you're going to be, you become a conversational piece. They try to figure out like, oh, well, how did you get here? So yeah, maybe so, maybe so.
so
I never looked at it like that.
I recently read an article, and I'm gonna go find it and make sure I get it posted so anybody, or if you want to read the article, where it says how you go from being the office pat to the office enemy. And pretty much in this article, the lady speaks of how sometimes as African Americans, we start off like being totally praised for our work and everything else. And then the moment that we go to speak up for ourselves against any injustice or something we simply just don't agree with when it comes to these employers, then we become like office enemy number one. And
Hmm.
so have like any experiences to where you
I actually have. I actually have.
now before you go into this, I'm gonna let you say this, but I also don't want to put you in a position to where if this interview does surface, I mean, on this,
Nope.
I mean, I just want to make sure you can.
I'm gonna answer politically correct because thus and such we still need jobs to be gainfully employed. But no, I'm going to answer very political and honest. And it actually has to do with a organization that I worked with at Midwest. Like when I first got there, um, they loved what I brought. They loved the fact that I had a master's degree. They loved that I was educated and passionate about um, said industry. I think what rose conflict when they realized that I had a voice and I advocated for myself. So sometimes you have to advocate for yourself and speak up when you feel like things are not being, going right, or if you have questions. I feel like one needs to advocate for themselves and not be afraid to speak up and know what you are have to offer and what you bring to the table. And a lot of those things come off with struggle, and a lot of those things just come off just in everyday struggles of trying to develop and prove yourself. So yeah, I've done with that, and once I spoke up, things were not always as nice. You became a target, and we can't afford to be a target being African American because it makes us seem like we have an attitude or we're problematic when we have those type of things.
Yeah. And so the actual article that I'm referring to, it actually debuted in the Forbes magazine in like 2021, and it's called the Infuriation Journey from Being Pet to Threat: How Bias Undermines Black Women at Work. But I think that it also can apply to Black men at work as well, because we're automatically we already have to set a tone to code switch. I guess is what it's called nowadays. But how do you think we can combat these things? Like, how do you think we can? What do you think that it's better for us to go into, like, owning our own businesses? Like, what do you think? What do you want? What should we do? What should we be doing as people, I guess?
Well, you know what? Honestly, like in our demographic, as you have noticed, a lot of people in our demographic have left corporate America to start their own business. And I think a lot of that is because they realized they were so educated, and had all these life and work experiences. They felt like they were better off by working for themselves. Now, I do find out, you know, I entrepreneurship is very important. So I am very supportive of all my friends and all our peers who grew up with us, and we saw them in our struggles and doing a thing. And I congratulate anybody who's doing it. I feel like it is a brave thing. At the same time, I feel like it's a step that we all must seek, because I mean, you all need to have your own type of situation where you're building and learning from yourself. However, if you're not ready, and I say this with respect to everybody, if you're not business oriented and entrepreneur minded ready, I feel like you should just wait and just gain the knowledge first before you take that leap of faith before you go out here, because running the business or any type of sort or any type of organization is tough. And if you don't have a business mindset before you go out here, like, it can be a little challenging.
Yeah. Then you're just gonna go out to fail. And I think that is one thing about you, is that we were not taught how to be entrepreneurs. I feel like I literally came
Mm-hmm.
from a family where eventually it was go to college, right? And it was
Mm-hmm.
go to, you should get a degree in something that you love. But
Mm-hmm.
then I find that even with me getting a degree in something that I love, when they go to do what they do to make sure that they're meeting the affirmative action clauses of most employers, that when it comes to hire, it didn't matter what box I checked, because they literally can hire me and kill like a million birds with one stone, meaning they can hire me because I'm a woman. Boom, that's
Mm-hmm.
a bias box that they check. Then they can hire me because I'm African American. Boom, that's a bias box that they check. So it's almost like I took, like, not saying that I've taken jobs or that anyone has taken a job from me, but when they have these boxes that they have to check to make sure that they're basically giving everyone equal opportunities when it comes to these types of appointments, it actually makes it to where it's less of us in the work field, or it's harder for us to advance our careers. And I think that was my biggest thing with the company that I'm leaving, is because
Mm-hmm.
I checked boxes, but then it was also, I felt like, well, what other way can we hinder her? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't understand how you pay for one to go to school to get a degree. Like, you paid for me to go to school, get this degree. Then you tell me, like, oh, well, coming with this, you're supposed to go into this mentor program, right? But I applied
Mm-hmm.
for the program, and it's a mentorship program, and y'all reject my application for that. But then you want to convince me that I'm crazy, even though I've been with the company for 5 years, no promotion, no nothing. You gave me a lateral move, but even the lateral move wasn't worth what my worth was, right? So then
Mm-hmm.
go ahead and say, you know what, I'm okay, I'm done with this company, I'm gonna go ahead and leave. Then you falsify things against me, and I wonder how many other people that look like me, whether a man or a woman, have had that experience just with trying to advance their careers. And it's just so crazy to me that into almost 2023, we're almost in 2023, like, you still have these boxes that they're checking when it comes to the color of our skin. And don't even get me on hair now, because every day I have to correct people on how my is locks and not dreadlocks, because there's nothing dreadful about my hair.
So let's dissect a lot of that stuff, because I feel like a lot of that stuff is very true. Being in management, and I know how the interview stages work. We call those diversity hires. They want to make sure their team is diverse, so they almost like they want to make sure they have a quota of every type of demographic. And sometimes, I hate to say it, we use the word token. Sometimes, and I don't feel like one should ever feel like they're a token, but sometimes people are getting positioned because they are a token. They want to, when management, upper management, when they go to these meetings and they have like their stat chart and say, okay, we have one of each. So sometimes, I hate to say this, we might fall into a situation where we are the token diversity hire. So that way no one can say, oh, well, this company is racist or they don't have X, Y, and Z of this type of demographic. So yes, be careful on those hires because sometimes you might be a diversity hire and you might not even know it. Now about career advancement, I'm big on that too. And I think I follow the method of I treat jobs like a university setting. For me, I never want to be in a position more than 2 years when I'm not in a lateral movement situation. For instance, like I treat it like a community college. Most people go to community college for 2 years. Like if I'm not gonna advance in that 2 years, or if I don't see any promise to advance, I'm might dip because I feel like there's no type of development of chance of me to get any type of a lateral movement. So I'm one who does not like to be stagnant in one's career. So if I'm there 2 years and I don't see an opportunity to grow, I'm not going to waste any time with this one particular company. And yes, people frown upon hoppers when they come down to a resume. So I'm not saying like if you feel like you're there at a certain job, less than 2 years that you should hop. I'm saying like if you don't feel like this position and this company is going to help you develop as a person and not going to give you opportunities, and you might want to seek either a job coach or a professional coach is going to help you, see the positives, or B, take your talents elsewhere. Like don't sit in a company that's going to like hold you or pigeonhole you to one position when you have X amount of skills that can be used in certain positions and predicaments.
And see, that's what I don't understand is like, when did it become a bad thing to have multiple employers on one's resume? Like, when did that determine that you were not a reliable employee just because situations didn't work out with one employee? Like, I think that like looking at from my own personal experience, like if I had to be on a hiring manager end, like I would be more concerned of why you chose to stay complacent at a place. And I'm just saying this is from my own
Mm-hmm.
experience now. Like, and I'm just speaking because like I'm at a place now where if I'm not happy, then I'm moving on. Like I'm looking for
I agree.
I'm not staying and I don't care how it looks. But then I also have to come to the realization that I tailor my resume to what I want my resume to be anyway. So I can either
True.
omit everything or I can just admit what I want to admit. Like I just feel like certain employers at this time and place, like especially the employer that I'm currently leaving, like I feel like just taking them all the way off my resume don't suck because I've been with that company for 5 years, but it was just that tumultuous that I don't even feel like giving them the honorary of even saying like, like I'm ashamed to say like I worked for this company because that's
Mm-hmm.
for it. They work for me. Now everybody else around me may not have had that experience, but as a Black woman in that particular company, oh my goodness, I would not recommend it for no Black person.
I understand, and that's the thing you have to sit and honestly ask yourself too. Like, I'll give an example. My husband, so to speak, like we talk about resume and how it looks like. I know his side of management. Like he will look at a resume and say, well, how does this person, explain that job lapse? Versus where I agree with you too. Like like if is this if I go to an interview and I choose not to list this job, as long as I can speak to that time lapse, I can be able to speak to it. When it comes down to say, hey, well, what were you doing between these dates? I see a gap in employment history, and if they don't ask that question, then fine. But if they ask about it, I would just advise you to have like a conversational piece. What I'm saying? Like, well, at this time I was working on X, Y, and Z. I built this cert, that cert, or I went to school. Some type of situation where it shows that you were adding to your development as a person and also in your skill set. But I agree, like saying I think that's a lot of people problems too is that they choose to put every job they have, and it's sometimes not even beneficial to the job they're interviewing for, because it makes it has no flow, it's no type of cohesive movement. It was not a lateral move, so you just saying that you're employed, but when it comes down to your development, it doesn't make sense, especially when you're interviewing for a position.
Right. Because most time when people interviewed it, they never ask you, well, why did you stay in this one particular uh position for 5 years? They never ask you like, well, you never get to tell your side of the story, like, well, I interviewed several times for supervisor, but I didn't get it. Like I remember for like the particular job that I'm leaving, I interviewed for a lead position, and I, in fact, I rocked the interview. And not only do I know for a fact I rocked the interview, like twice, 2 times.
It's okay.
Tablet
Tablet.
phone because people call and don't realize that I'm in the middle of an interview. But I interruption to this broadcast. But twice I interviewed for the same position, and I remember the first time I interviewed for it, the person who was like over the manager over that, he was like, he really want, and I knew he wanted to give it to me, but the powers at B, like the people over him, didn't want to give it to me. So therefore, they tried to make me jump through hoops and loops to get it. But for what? For why do I have to do? Like nobody else that got the position had to jump through hoops and loops to get it. Like you didn't tell them like, oh well, we're gonna let you shadow or make them shadow or anything. Y'all gave it to them because they were qualified for the position. So my thing is, if I checked every box to be qualified for the position, then um then I should have been given the position. But it's also part of the reason why I think that person left the company too, because I feel like for that person, like he started to check certain box for this particular company. So in my personal opinion, I'm not saying me and him had this conversation, but I felt like as a gay Black man, he like checked multiple box when it came to being diversified for the company. And I he started to see, like working for this particular company, that eventually he was going to be stagnant in his career, because once I hit a cap when it comes to my diversity, are we talking about my color of my skin? Are we talking about my sexual orientation? Are we talking about these just so y'all can say that y'all got somebody in this position? Versus I'm actually qualified to go over here and do this, but y'all won't give it to me because you need me to stay in this position and check this box.
So a lot of that, I hate to say this, I just got done dealing with the similar issue, um, applying for my lateral move position. Interviewed. I was told I interviewed awesomely. I had a great interview. It came down to, I feel like what was told for me is, I got feedback, and I feel like every manager who's interviewing should always give their candidate feedback. That way they can know where they stands. Now, whether you agree with that feedback is, beyond me. I feel like it gives you a peace of mind. So the feedback I was given after said interview was, um, you had a great interview. I enjoyed the interview. I feel like we need for you to go, and this was said to me. I need for you to go shadow or be amongst others in said positions, so you can learn from. Not saying that I can learn from the place I'm at now. They wanted me to go out my way to find uh, the correct type of leadership to learn from. Now, I was fine with that. I was fine with the verbiage that was given to me. What I was not fine with is like the amount and the quantity of my, I would say this, your competitors who you're competing with against it, because I knew I was more educated than these people. I know I had more experience within the industry. Um, the deciding factor, and I don't want to use race and say that it was a race war. But at the end of the day, every company have a certain they have a certain culture or a certain uh, representation they want in their business of leadership. And sometimes they don't feel like you're the right culture that they want in this set position. It could be a number of things. Just all about having that conversation, that honest conversation, to become a come to Jesus moment. I say, like, I was real adamant, and I had to find out from the hiring manager myself and say, well, what was needed, was needed, and I was told, like, well, you know, it's obvious and evident that's going to be your next position. It's just that you need to do X, Y, Z. And I'm fine with giving me tools, and I'm fine with you giving me objectives. I'm not fine with, giving me a answer that kind of, you think it's going to pacify me. because that's not going to help me in my development. So you have one or two options. After you give them feedback, you either stay in the position that you're in, or B, you look for outside. You look for outside employment. I will never tell anybody to leave a job unless they have another job situation to go, and unless you have another type of business or something. Unless you just have it, you shaking your head like,
Leave. You know,
what's going on?
you know what? I feel like that was part of my problem is that I started to doubt my own self-worth. Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, if I leave this job today, I'm not going to be able to get a job tomorrow. But the truth is, I'm highly employable.
Yeah.
But it hasn't been too many jobs that I actually wanted. And I'm going to say this, that I actually wanted that I did not get. Um, but this is also with me coming with years of wisdom now. If
Mm-hmm.
if the job that I work right now, if it don't work out today, I'm quitting tomorrow. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna step out on faith and know that I am employable. Now, does it have to put my pedal to the metal to be quicker to get another job? Yes. I'm a little bit smarter now not to quit another job, knowing that I don't not have another job. But
Mm-hmm.
I also like I've had to learn that in the state that I work in, it's an at-will state. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
got to give you a 2-week notice. If I don't come back tomorrow, I just don't come back tomorrow. And the fact that some of these jobs will try to penalize you because you chose not to come back tomorrow instead of just
Mm-hmm.
holding themselves accountable. But I understand why they don't hold themselves accountable, because there's a thing called the EEOC where you're supposed to treat me like you're supposed to be an equal opportunity
From the
employer.
employer. Yeah.
And
Yep. And that's the thing about being an at-will employee. Like, they have a choice. They have a free will to either, relieve you of your services. Like anybody, like you, like that's most of these jobs today. Like, there's always at will. Like, unless you sign a contract, which uh, saying that you're contractually bound to these jobs during this time, like, yeah, you're at will. I would just say, like, you know, if a person does choose to like leave one job to go to another, just make sure you have all your ducks in a row, and also make sure that your job that you're applying for, interviewing for, is going to be a lateral move. Like, I'm all about, and I feel like us as people of color, um, I'm not into, like, and I would tell anybody, if I'm mentoring somebody, like, I've always said, like, if you're gonna leave a job, like, make sure it's a lateral move. Like, I would never revert. You go into a situation when you are downsizing yourself only because you want to be employed. Now, I know everybody got their different livelihoods, but I would never tell someone like to leave one job and it's almost like you're regressing. Like, make sure your next job is gonna be something that you're either learning something from, or you're gonna get monetary rewarded for. Like, I would never have anybody like you leave a situation. Like, every year you should be leveling up. You should not be like reverting into a situation.
I'm not mad at that, but I guess I just differ there. You ain't being treated right, chuck the deuces. But that also goes knowing your worth. Just know.
Knowing your worth. Yeah. Speaking of knowing your worth, when it comes down to, like, let's go back to go forward. Now, before we get a job, we must interview for the job. And sometimes we kind of can avoid red flags if we ask those right questions during the interview. So, is there any situation when you have not asked the right questions before you took a job?
Hell yeah. It
So, knowing what
also
you know now.
it was also because I was like in a critical moment. So one thing to
Mm-hmm.
understand is that when you choose, and I guess it doesn't even matter. I'm just gonna use myself because I can't speak for nobody else. Um, when I chose to leave Michigan, um, I kind of knew that I was leaving like the sanctity of my family, the sanctity of my friends, my safety nets, the people that I had to fall back on. Now,
Mm-hmm.
granted, um, when I went to Virginia and things didn't work out in Virginia, I'm very thankful that I had family to fall back on. I'm
Mm-hmm.
thankful that I had a friend that turned family to fall back on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thankful the day that I called my best friend that lives here now in Vegas and told her, even just was talking to her through the situation. And even then, And whether she see this or not, Chancia, you was right. I should have never went to Virginia for what I went to Virginia for. Because people see things that you don't see. But she also knew that I had to make my own way, right? But I'm forever grateful to Chancia for telling me, no, you're not going back to Detroit. No, you're not going back. Come here. And even though my intentions was not Vegas, my intentions was Arizona. Vegas has worked out for me the best right now, right? Now, is this
Mm-hmm.
where I'm, hey, is this what I'm going to be doing? Probably not, because 10 years is certain things about this city that I do not like. But when I took the particular job that I left months ago, even though I ain't going to disclose all of that, but I left this job months ago.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of them letting me go, of course, they want to throw bad dirt and tarnish on my name, but that's fine because, we're going to get a lawyer for that, because since it couldn't have been easy and simple and you want to make it hard, then I'm going to make it hard. But I took that job because I literally lived in a state, and because of how I am, I don't want to ask nobody for nothing. And I really feel like I can't ask people for anything as well. So let me say that. I feel like I can't go to people and be like, I need to borrow money. I feel like I can't go to people and be like, I don't got no food in my refrigerator. Because in people's minds, they have this mentality about me, or maybe it's the mentality that I have on myself, that I always have to have it. Because if I don't have it, then nobody is going to give it to me, just because of a pedestal that I've perceived people to put me on, or that people have actually factually told me, oh, I've put you on this pedestal. So when I took this job, yeah, I took it because unemployment is not a real thing to me. It works for some people, and I'm not saying that it can't work. We all had 2020, we all was in the same boat. Everybody was getting unemployment. You get it? So therefore, I couldn't be the pot calling the kettle black. I can't call you lazy. You can't call me lazy, because hell, we all got laid off at the same time, same day. Somewhere between March the 13th through March the 22nd, everybody getting laid off from their job. Not because we wanted to, but because that's just the way of the world, right?
Yeah.
And would have thought that in that moment that they would have knew right then and there, like, oh, everybody is the same no matter the color of your skin, because just like I lost my job, you lost your job, and you ain't lose your job just because you just was a horrible employee. We literally all lost our job because of COVID.
Due to
because of the pandemic.
Yep.
So it wasn't that. However, when I originally took the position, yes, I took it because of my livelihood. I took it because
Yeah, I get it. Like, you had to.
needed to pay. It was gonna help me pay my bills. Put me in the jungle, I could triple my worth. You know what I'm saying? You could put me anywhere on this God's green earth, I'm gonna triple my worth. And that was my mentality going into this job. So my mentality was, just get your foot in the door. Just get your foot in the door, and you will be able to move up because you are employable, right? Until they told me different.
So but after they told you differently, what did you decide to do? What was your master plan once they told you differently? Like, what was your thought out plan after you found out?
Well, I was making money. Like, making money. So I stayed, because regardless of whatever they were doing, one thing you ain't gonna stop is my bag. So I was making money. Even though I couldn't advance my career, I was making money. So I just figured, like, okay, y'all want to allow me to advance my career, even though I'm qualified for the things that I'm applying for. So I stayed in the department that I was and became the best at what I was. So I became a top salesperson. I became a person that had high quality, high adherence, high this, high that. Because what you're not going to be able to tell me is that I don't do my job. So you're never going to be able to paint me to be lazy. I'm going to have a smart remark about it now, but I know my limits of what to say, what not to say. So eventually I did start to look everywhere else. Like I literally did. I started to look for jobs. I started to interview for jobs. I started getting callbacks from jobs to start a new job. And then boom, the pandemic hit. Then those jobs that I was interviewing for and that I was getting, then they became obsolete because they no longer had a need for those particular positions. And then I was a little hard-headed on myself, just being based off certain stigmas that we carry as Black folks, I'm not going to get the vaccine. Oh, you want me to
Mm-hmm.
get, you trying to control me. I'm not doing none of that. So then now it's beneficial for me to stay where I am because I work from home. They not requiring me to
Mm-hmm.
get the vaccine to work from home. They gave us a raise. I think they gave us like, not to put nobody in my business, but I don't care. They gave us like a $5,000 bonus. You know what I'm saying? So they did things to keep us there as employees. But even with that, see, I started to think, okay, well, now maybe things will be different, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
now I become a need and not just a number in the room. Oh, now they'll promote me. And the
Mm-hmm.
sad part is the department that I work in, I really wanted to be promoted in that department. Like I really enjoyed that particular department. However, they didn't enjoy me. And I think that it's because I challenged them. Um, I remember doing a survey about organization effectiveness. And basically I went
Mm-hmm.
around our department and I interviewed everybody from management down to the people that were on my level that was on a lower level than me to see what could we do to build morale and ethics in our
Mm-hmm.
department. Lord Jesus, don't ever talk about morale and ethics in no department because nobody never wants to be told exactly what they're doing wrong or what they can be doing better. And the sad part is about my department, it's just we wanted more recognition, more recognition. Like it wasn't even about the money. It was just, you know, pat me on the back when I do what I'm supposed to do, you know? And in their minds, they felt like, well, we giving y'all some, we give you this for free, we give you that for free. It didn't equate to what does it matter. Because a lot of us, we made enough money to where we could pay out of pocket to go get all of the things that they were giving us for free. We didn't have a problem with paying for it. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
because you felt like you gave us these things for free, then you automatically felt we were supposed to just be humble with what
Mm-hmm.
we're getting. And that's never enough.
And I don't think employees realize that, the statement like you'll get more from honey.
But you
Like you don't like there's the statement like the whole development and recognition of your staff. You can pacify people, but then people, like you said, once you start to do those interviews and survey how you really feel about certain positions, you will find out information that might not be so pleasant. Like once you find out how people really feel, but I feel like those are conversations that need to be had. It's first as far as work life balance and ethics. You find out how your staff really feel, and most employees they don't care because as long as you're producing and you're helping the company, they can care less how you feel or how, as a person. Now that becomes a personal choice. Like if you are outspoken like us, like you probably say, well, hey, I feel X, Y, and Z, and that can either go good for you or go against you because once they find out you have a voice, you might be looked upon as problematic, so to speak. So you have to
but
pick.
the problem with this is that if I'm having this issue, you better believe it's 10 other people having this.
Of
However, if
course.
I just chose to be the bravest one in the rest of the issue, you know what I'm saying? And the sad part is, like, especially coming from the company that I'm coming from the department that I went to, I would voice my opinion, and then it would be like three other people that would be like, yeah, I agree with Alina. But it went from being three other people that agreed with Alina to now it's five other people that agree with Alina. And if you're talking about a department of 60 people, so where you got 30 people now, like, okay, she ain't wrong, then I become target enemy number one. So I went from literally,
Because you were that sacrificial lamb that actually spoke out. That's because you
yeah,
had people on your bandwagon. Like honestly, and just to be frank, you know how it works. Like if you the first one to hit pig will holler, hit dog gonna holler. Like you was the dog that holler. Like they gonna look at you and say it was you. But at the same time, not to mention the other people they agree with you. But just because you were the quote unquote spokesperson, they look, oh, you're the ringleader, you're the reason why the X, Y, and Z is having this problem. And not to mention that, like, if the work life culture says the same thing, it doesn't matter. Like, you was the person who brought it to the light, so therefore they're looking at you like, okay, well, you have that much influence on, that could be ring as a problem. Like, you're influential, which is a positive thing because if you can, influence or get people to speak up, that's a good quality to have. Whereas I don't think it's used in a positive light.
which is
Companies see that in the negative.
which is what I like about the company that I work for now, because I've definitely set some boundaries coming into the position that I'm in now, and I love it. They don't even play. They don't even, like, for right now. I say that right now. They don't even play about nothing that I say. And it's so funny because I had a meeting with them. Now, mind you, I've only been in this particular position for, like, I think I just hit my 90 days on October the 1st. I hit my 90 days. And before I even hit my 90 days, like, I end up having to have a meeting with upper management. And I went into the meeting just like this. And I will quit today, right now. Because I'm not about to play with y'all. Don't play with me. I came here. I told you from the beginning what I came for, and then I gave them back what they told to me. Now, what you told me was X, Y, and Z when I got this position, and it ain't that. So, but what now I do is I advocate, and I not only do I advocate for me, but I advocate for the people around me, because, like with my current position, it's somebody who is literally not happy. They're hitting like their 5-year mark in the company. They feeling a little low on the totem pole. Y'all need to promote this person. Either promote them or let them go, because it's now it's affecting it's affecting production here. It makes
And
it
it
hard for
also
me.
affects work-life culture too. If you got somebody who's around, acting like they Eeyore, they've been here, they feel like they're constantly passed over, and their production is not going to be what it used to be because they feel like they're slighted. And especially if they see other people getting promoted around them, they looking like, okay, well, most of the time you're in that situation, the
and
person
that
gonna either.
and that's what it is for this person. And I feel so, and let me be very clear, she's not Black, she's not Hispanic, she is a real, I mean, she's a white girl, but she's so good at her job. She's so good at her job, but the position is taking such a toll on her. And I can't do nothing but look at her, regardless of her race or anything like that. I look at her as a woman and I get it. Like, I get it. I get it. And I when I had to take her into a meeting recently, and I told her, I said, at this point, just from my own personal experience, I think you should start looking for employment other places where you can actually grow. And don't apply for the same position that you're in now. Apply for the next position up, because
Correct.
you can do the job. The
Correct.
Whether you can't do this job, you do this job and do it immaculately, right? So let me give you your flowers. Let me tell you, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna tell you, as your supervisor, baby, you got to go somewhere else.
Correct. And I
You
feel like we as people sometimes we get locked into a company. Like if this company is not going to see your worth, like there's a billion other places. Like just because this door's not open, you might have to go somewhere else. And I know we are big on being loyal. Like you want to be loyal and think it's your latter move is going to be with said company, but sometimes it's just not with that company, and it served this purpose. You've learned from this company. You got the tools and you got the tidbits you needed. Dust yourself off, get your resume together, and move forward. And I feel like people. I learned this through my management. You should always be interviewing.
always.
Like always be interviewing. It's skill building. You are able to keep your pencil sharpened by having great communication skills, and also you need to learn how to showcase yourself in a good light. Like there's nothing wrong with interviewing. Like I was a little guilty about that, but I learned like how else are you gonna know what else is out here if you don't interview?
If you don't,
Like you need to sell yourself and market yourself. Like you are a product. And at the end of the day, like you are your own brand. Like if you're not marketing and selling your brand, no wonder why you're getting passed off. You have to make sure your product is represented, and you also have to make sure you're presenting your product in the best light. So if that's through interviewing,
mm-hmm.
so be it. Like you have to put yourself out there. Now I feel bad for the young lady that you with because I know how it is to be stagnant in a job where you're there X amount of years and you feel like your superiors are not looking at you as worthy, and you see other counterparts are progressing. I understand exactly how that feels, and I feel like you did a noble service by pulling her to the side.
Oh, not even.
Now,
I did way more than that. So we had a Tuesday. I want to say Tuesday. We have these like meetings where management, we go and we do what we call marketing, and then we go out to lunch. Basically, I'll
mm,
go half the day. Works for me because I ain't want to be there anyway. But in this moment, I got a chance to tell like other management, like, yo, the next thing she applies for, we need to do our best to show her we want her, not only with the company, but we value her and that her works go a long way. Let her move. And it's to the point where I had the conversation was, I can bet you an X amount of, I told him I would bet my bonus check, right? That
You
if we
brave.
let her career, no, for real. If we was to let her advance her career, if they wanted to see the particular office that I'm over do better, let her advance her career and watch the office do better, because now she's not burned out. Then we have rotating customers, meaning we're going to see the same customer maybe 2 to 3 times within a month, right? But in my experience with you last week was, bad because you got an attitude with me and I got an attitude with you. Well, most people hold grudges. In reality, we don't, but we don't never forget. So, and my thing is, if it is the thing of us getting our customer service numbers up, and I'm just talking about this particular one. If the issue is the customer service issues, or we keep surveying the same people, and these same people keep giving us bad surveys, and this person name particularly keep popping up on this survey, but we know she can do the job. So it's not a thing, but she's burnt out, and I get it. So let's advance her. But in her defense too, girl, your husband told you to quit 2 months ago. Now, I ain't gonna lie. I had a husband right now. I see if I had a boyfriend and he told me to quit and he had me, bet. Have me, because I'm quitting. And if anybody asks me, well, why you leave that job? Because my man told me to. My significant other told me to. And because I trust that they going to do what they say they going to do. You know my lifestyle. You know what I'm used to. I actually had a conversation with my best friend about this, with him and his wife. And his wife came to him and told him some things. And we had our own personal conversation, but it was just the support. Like they really have that excellent support system where, you know what I'm saying? It may have made him stagger a little bit, but he still held it down. You get what I'm saying? So that I don't understand that about her, but I get it too, because as a woman, sometimes we're headstrong. We want our own money. We like our own things. Great. Got it. Good. But right now, I had a man come in my life and be like, girl, quit. Bye.
But I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna play devil's advocate. Like, I understand what you're saying about the young lady. She was, burnt out and not happy. Let's pretend, hypothetically speaking, like y'all would have advanced this young lady, like in a promotion. And I hate to say it, sometimes people get tainted by work life situations, and they've been in the job so long, and they have, accustomed to be tainted by the job, and they don't always put, like, how it is. Because once you tainted with a job, you're not gonna really give your all. You really gonna give, bare minimum, so to speak. So let's pretend like y'all finally say, hey, we're gonna give old Susan the promotion, but she has grew to be tainted. How do you get this person back culturally within the company and with a positive attitude? Because
Well,
sometimes it's not always, monetary. If they have a set attitude toward a company, it's kind of like poison, so to speak. So how do you get
well,
them back online?
the truth, she's not applying for a position within the same thing of which we're doing. So
Okay.
that's it. And most of the time when you apply for certain positions, it's not in the exact thing of what you're doing. So I'm gonna give myself for the best example, right? I wanted to go from being an agent to manager, right? Well, managers don't do what agents do, right?
Mm-hmm.
They just don't. And when you becoming a manager and say you want to go on to be maybe like a director, well, a director don't do what a manager do. So like the manager don't do what the agent do, and so on and so forth. So every time you're trying to advance your career, you're not doing the position that you're coming out of. And I think for her, the position that she's trying to get is more aligned to the degree that she has.
Mm-hmm.
The company literally said all you have to do is come into the company at this rate, and you have to do all of these things to qualify. And as soon as you qualify for this, you could go anywhere in the company that your heart desires, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it should only take you 9 months to do this, right? She's been with the company for 5 years. So
Yeah,
it's
and that
literally
lies a problem within herself, because if you were there that long, like, you were told that you was like it shouldn't take you 9 years. You wake up as 5 years later. I feel like that was a personal decision. You probably got too complacent, and you built too trust.
I think that what they've been doing to her is because everything is based on numbers with the company that I work now, right? I think that they just keep moving her around for number wise, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they move her around because the money is good. But as far as giving her the promotion, they just, for whatever reason, they don't do it. And I would understand why she would be a little frustrated with that, because literally someone who came in the company after her recently got a promotion over her, and it just was like, what? And I mean, we all collectively, not just not her, we all literally just was like, what? And mind you, I had only been with the company for 2 months, and I just was like, I don't understand it. But I'm also not in a place to understand it because that ain't my forte over there. I don't really care. Because really, with the company that I work with right now, they so I can tell you right now, they probably done been sued somewhere. So their whole thing dynamic right now is to change their whole imagery to make it look like not only is women the forefront of the company, but women of color is the forefront of the company.
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell you this how I knew, back to something you said earlier about being the token person. This how I know I'm about to be the token person for this company, because literally that was one of the questions that they asked me in my interview was, well, why do Black women keep leaving jobs at an alarming rate? Like, they gave me the statistic at the rate of why Black women keep quitting from the company. And I said, well, I'm going to tell you why I'm leaving the company that I'm leaving right now. And
I'm sorry. That's so many flags. I'm sorry. That's so many flags. Like for you to put me in all these categories. Like first off, like you're saying like that you creating the stereotypes that Black women don't want to work.
no, that's
Like you say, leave.
not what they said, though. That's not what they said. They literally couldn't understand why. I guess somewhere in between me applying for the job and getting the job, they have had an abundance of Black women quit the company across the board. And I told them, I said, I'm going to tell you why I'm quitting the company, or excuse me, not quitting, because I didn't quit. I just left because that's my right. Um, Let them tell it wasn't my right, but it was my right because it's an at-will state. I don't have to give you a 2-week notice. If I don't want to come back, I just don't have to come back. But I told them, you get tired of working hard and showing your work. And then you go to apply for a position that you tell me that I worked hard for, but then you find a number of reasons not to give it to me because I don't check your diversity box or whatever it may be. So for the particular company that I'm with right now, like, I don't think that it has nothing to do with your skin color. I think it solely has everything to do with your sex orientation. Like, even to the point, like, they were like, oh, the next person that's going to be promoted in the company is definitely going to be a woman. They're very adamant that they already know that they're giving that next power position to a woman.
Yeah, you're a diversity hire. Like it's not really so much that this person qualified for the job. They want to make sure they have a quota because they don't want a lawsuit probably saying like they are discriminatory against one particular race, gender, sexual orientation or whatever. And we are now in the land of 2023 almost where we have all kind of different people applying for these jobs, and they want to make sure they have a good representation of every melting pot, so to speak. Which is nothing wrong with having a diversity board, but at the same time, I'm more of give the person who's the most qualified for this position.
Correct.
Like you have to look at everybody for what they worth, everybody on equal playing field. Like if this person cannot perform the job I need, you're not the right candidate. What most employers have started to do is they will sacrifice, saying, "Oh, I need this diversity hire," and they will lack, the talent to make sure they have a diversity checklist, and they will, go with someone who's probably not qualified, but they are.
The other problem with that is too is people are promoting their family and their friends too. So it's kind of the nepotism in a lot of these things nowadays too. Because, and I hate to say this, and I've said it before on like an earlier podcast that I did, maybe one or two of them. I literally watched them tell our whole department how, we had to be in our positions for 6 months before we could get a promotion, right? But
I think that's a Midwest thing
literally
out here too. That say that
watched
too.
I literally watched them as a department. We literally watched them give this one girl a position. and then not even 2 weeks later. But mind you, you telling the rest of the office, oh, everybody got to stay in their positions for 6 months. But you literally, and what irritates me about this, right? And I'm never going to take anything from this person because I do feel like she was qualified for the job, right? But if she was qualified to be supervisor when you gave her lead, why y'all just didn't give her supervisor to begin with? Because now what you have done is taken that job from somebody else who really wanted it, who was really qualified for it, but now you have made them feel like less than nothing because you telling us we got to be in the position for 6 months, but she only had to be in the position for 2 weeks.
But they also are creating a culture for y'all work life that make it seem like, if we do the right behavior, we're not going to get rewarded for it. So they're setting a bad presentation, like within the company too. Like, okay, well, we do these metrics, and I look at somebody else to get the position that, just because of a who they know type game. It doesn't set a good precedence for even one to get developed in this company.
But the reason why I won't take nothing from her is because she is good at her job, right? But the other reason why I feel like she also got the promotion she got, because when you go look at the particular manager desk, you see nothing on that manager desk but pictures of them over time. And I ain't talking about at work events.
But have a personal relationship outside of
Oh yeah. I talk about it's a before I left, I looked at the particular manager's desk, and it's literally a picture of them at the manager's wedding, and this person is the maid of honor in the wedding.
Oh, wow.
You can't tell me that your friend didn't get this position. She didn't have to wait for 6 months because as your friend, she only had to wait 2 weeks. Was she eligible for the position? Most definitely. I would have gave it to her too. But I asked would have waited 6 months to get it.
Well, yeah, like I said before, you're setting a bad precedence against other employers, like who's qualified for the position. It makes it seem like if I'm not in your close circles or in your close quarters, then I'm not qualified for this because I'm not, I hate to say this, quote unquote ass kissing, or it's not a nepotism. Like it's a situation where you brought somebody who you're close to, which I feel like most employers who are are noble, they wouldn't even allow you to hire somebody that within that close contact because it sets a bad.
With this particular company, with not company, let me take that back. With this particular department that I left, I literally watched the manager hire her son's fiance cousin and put them on her team.
Yeah, no.
Crazy.
So let me ask you this: I know you from Midwest now, and we are now living in West Coast. Do you feel like employees here we come from Detroit, where we have grit and we work hard and we don't mind advocating for yourselves? Do you feel like people here, they just are a little soft in their approach in West Coast? They don't have to work as hard, they don't know how to work as hard, or they don't like any sense of adversity?
That's hard to say because in Nevada you have so many different walks of culture of people, right? I think that here in Nevada, I think your hard work will pay off and you can get a very good position. But I also still think that like most companies, they have that diversity clause. And you can only go so high if you're not already there. For prime example, when I was one of the ladies at the old company, had worked for the company for 35 years, was the only Black woman that had worked for the company for 35 years. And they did this award ceremony where they acknowledged everybody that worked for the company for 35 years. And you know who they forgot? You know who they forgot?
Who did they forget?
They forgot her. And then they came back and tried to give her a plaque to commemorate her for being with the company for 35 years. But how does this person open up several different business avenues for you? Literally, the income that the company makes came from her, but y'all forgot literally her. And when they forgot her, they literally only gave her a plaque, not the other people that had been honored in that little ceremony. But they only gave her a plaque because they forgot to say her name.
Well, I always believe in too, like once again, we talked about advocating for yourself too. Like, I'm always about making noise for yourself. And I learned this the hard way. You cannot wait for someone else to advocate for you. Speak up for yourself. Like, you make yourself known, and you make yourself like up in the front of what you're doing and what you're producing. And I used to think back in the day, like, I don't like talking about myself because I feel like my work speaks for itself. I feel like my hard work speaks for itself. But sometimes you have to advocate for yourself and speak to what you're doing, because it makes it seem like, you know, you are doing stuff. So you gotta speak up for yourself. Like, don't wait for nobody else to kind of, hype you up, because people want to see you do good, but not as better than them, so to speak. So you got to make sure you.
But not better than, and that's people across the board, and that don't have nothing to
Mhm.
do with your skin color. That don't have nothing to
It's
do
the
with your.
people in general. It's
It's
just
just
people in general. Yeah.
it's just people in general. But I will say, with the current position that I am, I like it for now. I like the benefits that it gives me. Definitely love my paychecks. But this position, if anything more, it motivated me to sit down and study for the LSATs. It definitely motivates me to follow my dreams and whatever my original dream was. And it also motivates me to know that life is a constant change. And, you know, we have to work to survive at the end of the day. And so right now I'm working to survive, and that's okay, because my bigger dreams are coming, because now the goal is initially to work for myself. And I mean, once I become a lawyer, I'm pretty sure I might still have to work for someone else, but my goal is to get my name on a building that said Alina and Associates, or whatever my last
Mm-hmm.
may be, such and such and associates. You get what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay.
What advice would you give to someone who's just now um entering the workforce, and they're like, in their career, about like interviewing for a position, and knowing their values? What advice would you give someone?
This sound real what I'm about to say. But if it don't fit, you must have quit, quit, and keep getting job after job after job after job until you find the one that fits just for you. So if it don't fit, quit. But
Mm-hmm.
in this simple word language, quit. Don't give them a 2-week notice. Don't do nothing. Go learn the laws of the state that you live in. Go learn and read the policy and procedure too. Don't do nothing. Don't do the old school thing where you take a leave of absence and then you get in like short term or long term disability for them. Just quit. Quit.
Mm-hmm.
Just quit. Go get another job. And if you don't like that job, then go get another job. And if you don't like that job, then go get another job until you get the job that works just for you and you feel like you're going to work just as hard for them. Go get a job that fits you.
What I love about this, us being millennials, most of us were like first generational grads. We had to learn stuff on our own. And what I like about the generation that comes behind us, they don't mind taking risks. And
Quit.
they will leave. They are real quick about saying what their non-negotiables are. Where we looked at like, y'all need to be grateful. This younger generation would be like, well, they're not feeling that, or I appreciate their boldness, and their carelessness of like being relentless and just free. They will just be like, okay, but this ain't working. They will leave. Now I feel like us being like in the millennial generation, we are just now establishing ourselves. We had to learn the hard way because most of our parents were not educated, so we had to learn this stuff on our own. So
Well,
our job is to help.
I don't think that they weren't educated. I just think, okay, I will say this, and I don't know how you feel about this, but like my mama didn't have me till she was 40. So
Mm-hmm.
my mom was born in 1946. I was
Mm-hmm.
born in 1987,
80,
right?
mm-hmm.
I was born at a pivotal time where just the world in itself was changing, right? And,
Mm-hmm.
and I myself, I'm not gonna say like my mom was racist, right? But it was certain things that she instilled, not even just my mom, but my dad too. Like, I was taught I couldn't bring a white man home. Oh no, that's not a thing. I was told that I wasn't going to the white man's military. A lot of things were based, it was like I was raised to be so black, but also I was raised to have like, to be inferior to white people. And my thing is, you're not gonna tell me to be pro-black, but still yes ma'am and no ma'am these people. So you're not
Mm-hmm.
gonna get me in the safety and the comforts of our home and talk all this crap about these people. And then when we get out in public, it's like you dumb yourself down. And I think that was the thing for our generation. Right. We
Mm-hmm.
get it. They are who they are. It is what they is, right? But we also came from a place of love. We came from a place of who I am will speak for itself and I can evoke change.
And
We
I'm going to
probably the
refresh
best.
my statement about, like, as I thought about it, I use per word church. I'm not going to say that how we grew up, most of our parents were not educated. They had other things that were going for them where they might not have valued education collegially. They might have been in the workforce and they taught you about, maybe how to work and had work ethic versus now. So I will give them that. They probably instill work ethic. Now, I do agree with the statement of, the respect of, we were taught to kind of be pro-black and, like, don't get me wrong, I love my people. I'm always one for, standing up for my people. I love, I represent my blackness within in its entirety. However, you know, I have now got to a point in life where, like, you can network and you can learn from just about anybody. At the same time, it's about what they represent and, like, what can they bring to my being as a person and how I'm going to develop. So, yeah, I understand what you're saying completely about how we were conditioned to, support black and all black and it's black, black, black and respect. And at the same time, we know we are superior to, you know, other races or communities. Yeah.
And I think that's the problem too, is that it's just always been this fear of you can't say certain things, you can't do certain things because you are black, right? And so you have to. I think the best prime example that I can give is recently, like Deion Sanders or somebody did an interview with the guy, and he was saying, like, before the camera go on, like, I guess him and the black guy had a different interaction versus when the camera came on, and Deion kept saying to him in the interview, be yourself, right? But I read like a comment under it was like, could that black man in his profession really afford to be
Be
himself?
himself.
Right? So, like, I feel like right now, if me and you were sitting on a panel, right? We're talking the way we're talking because we're longtime friends, right? But let
Mm-hmm.
lawyers get on here. Are you going to hear me go, oh my goodness, I can't believe that. You're going to hear me change my dialect. You're going to hear me change what I am. Whereas right now, I'm just having a casual conversation with my friend.
Mm-hmm.
But if I had to be very professional on this call, I would. And I think that that's the problem, is that for so long as just black people, we had to switch our personified for the setting that we were in. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just like when we at work and you become real lax with the person that you get cool with. You start to talk differently to them than the person that you may not have that rapport with. You talk differently to them. Like I have a person that I work with. It's two of them. I have a different personification with them. So I talk to them differently. But like the young lady I was telling you who I think should get promoted, I talk to her differently because, one, half the time she don't even know what the hell I'm saying to her anyway. Like one day I made a mistake and was like, oh, something, something, something. That's okay, Pooh. She all, what, Winnie the Pooh? No, you're the Pooh. Like,
You're the pool.
she's like, did you mean to say boo? No, poo, poo. Like, it's a term of endearment. But nonetheless, like, I get it. Like, I can't, I have to speak a certain way to her because of the cultural differences. And I don't even know if it's a cultural difference. It's just, and I'm pretty sure she's one way too, because I noticed the girl before she, was able to advance her career, they talked to each other a different type of way than what she talked to me and maybe the other person. You know what I'm saying?
You know how I
And then
relate that to?
like the
I
other
relate that to
girl,
like a
the one that
parent.
I have a good relationship with, she talks to her differently than what she talked to me. And in my mind, the way that she talked to her, you would never talk to me like that because, but
Mm-hmm.
I think No, and I think it's about the different boundaries, but I do think that we have put ourselves in this bubble to where we do have a thing of loyalty. And I don't even know where loyalty was set at when it comes to just employee, because Lord knows you could be doing the best you want to do and then they fire you tomorrow and then that's it. You know what I'm saying? That's it and that's all to that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And why I don't understand why we don't have that same mentality when it just comes to advancing our careers and knowing your worth.
I
Um,
think our
so
loyalty should
yeah,
go to our. That's the thing. Our loyalty should go to advancing our careers. It should not be your loyalty should not be attacked to said employee. Your loyalty should be to you and your development of your career. Now, if they don't align, that's when you need to take other actions. But yeah, like your loyalty should always be to your career and to you as a person and your development. And employers have a funny way of kind of getting you to buy into the Kool Aid. Because some have people have like a
yeah.
good work culture where they kind of trigger you in, they buy you in, they treat you real good. And first, it's almost like dating. In the first 6 months of your dating, you're in the honeymoon phase. They treat you so good. You're getting all this extra trickle, this development, this treatment. But then somewhere along the line where you kind of start to realize you're doing extra amount of work and you're not being compensated for the things that you do, then the treatment gets a little lax. You start to feel like you're not being developed anymore, like you're just stagnant. So employers have a good way to kind of woo you, so to speak.
Well, and that's another question, like with me as I'm coming into my own who I am, especially when it comes to these employers now. Like I don't care if I do apply for a salary position, I'll automatically ask, is there any way we can make this, is it negotiable to make it not salary but hourly? Because what I'm not about to do is, you're not about to tell me that I'm about to get 60 hours a week and you only paying me at 40 hours a week. So somebody gonna have to go find my compensation for them other 20 hours, or I'm still in notepads and pens every time I come in the office. Or
So let me ask you this. That's a good question. A good point you made. So do you always counter when you're given a job, like when you get a job offer? Do you always counter?
I'm gonna be really honest with you. I just started to counter. I didn't used to counter. I used to take whatever they gave me, right? Especially if I knew going in what the rate of it was, and you know how they say black people, we calculate our paychecks before we get it, and I'm guilty of it. Yeah, I sit down and I take my budget, because I do. I have a budget. I'm not gonna lie. Do I stick to it? I probably don't, but I have a budget.
Mm-hmm.
Believe it or not, I have a budget. Ooh. Um, but I'm also a giving person. So I'm pretty much, if you need it, I'm probably gonna, if it's in my will, unless you rub me the wrong way, and I got some people that have rubbed me the wrong way, I won't give it. But I take my budget compared to what it is, and I see how I can live off of that. I also need to know that, you know, how does my vacation time accrue? Because I like to travel. I got places to go and got some things to do. Um, I need to know what's gonna be my hindrance. So, like I said a couple of podcasts ago, I had a chance to get a job with the county. Dream job, dream job. But they only wanted to pay me like $17.34. Well, who the hell living off of that? And no matter, like, me and the recruiting officer, we kind of like got into it a little bit, because like she was trying to tell me how she felt I could live off of it, and I'm all, because it's all, well, you know, we don't take Social Security, and you only pay your health insurance once a month, and so what? I can't even tell you the last time I had a $1,200 check from no company. So no, not doing it. Come with me.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was like the hiring manager, well, just give me a year. I can't, I can't, I can't, I can't, I can't get it out the mud on these knuckles. Too far in
Yeah.
my life. Like, I just graduated with a master's degree. You only want to pay me $17.34. Then it was like a comment like, well, why didn't you apply for this position? Because it wasn't listed. Is it listed now? And then they were like, yeah, okay, well, let me apply for that.
And I think people need to realize that too. Like upon applying for jobs, you need to be very clear with the requirements. Like when they post these recs, like make sure you guys are reading the qualifications and don't set yourself up fair. Sometimes you apply for a job, you are already overqualified. Yeah, you still take this job. Like if you look at the recs and you realize, say, okay, I did have this, and that, and you put yourself on the, you need to rate, where you at and say, hey, I already do this. So like you said earlier, like I would urge you to qualify for the apply for the position up, because if you're going to land into this position, you might not get what you want, and that's when the counter question coming, and they might not be willing to give you what you're worth, so to speak. Especially those people who have degrees, like, and we know, thank God for people who get those student loans forgave. I saw you post the application, but I mean, if you have a situation where you got to pay back loans, who wants to work for employer and you can't even make your payments, so you're paying back for your education? So I think you just need to be smart.
And that's the thing is it's just knowing your worth. My cousin, she recently did a TikTok. Y'all should go follow her. I'm at Shatiana Banks or something. I'll figure out what her stuff is and get it in there. But she recently just did a TikTok about how she, was people were advising her not to help her friends get employment. And I agree with some statements she made on her TikTok. And then I have my own personal reasons why I kind of don't refer people to jobs. And it really don't have nothing to do with whether they end up coming in making more money than me or not. Because by all means, get a job. I think over the years with trying to help my friends get jobs is that they get the job and then either get the job and then don't show up for the job, or they get the job and don't stay at the job. But in a sensible way, I can't even be mad at that now because I just told everybody to quit, right? Like if it don't fit, quit. But it was back then my mentality for that way of thinking is because of my sense of loyalty. Oh, they gonna taint my name. Oh, I done help this person get this job and they quit, or I help this person get this job and they don't show up and do the job, not realizing that that's on their own merit. Now the company could soon come to say, well, Alina don't refer reliable people. Granted, we can take that, right? I can eat that, right? But at the same token, I had to stop telling myself mentally like, I can't help you get this job because I felt people burned to me on my name, but that was me tying my success to them, right? But that's because companies have done that to hold people back. Well, the person you referred didn't come do their job, so now it affects you, but I'm here still being productive. So because they didn't take the job, they don't got nothing to do with me. All I did was give a reference, right? But
Mm-hmm.
in the video that my cousin Shatiana she did, she just talks about how she helped a friend get a job at the place she worked, and the friend ended up making more money than her. But in her mind, it gave her leverage to go to them because now she know what they willing to pay, right? So in her mind, it gave her leverage to go renegotiate her salary. And then she also know that if they don't want to negotiate her salary up to what she know her friends make, then either, i.e., file a complaint with the EEOC because we're all equal opportunity around here, right? Or go find a position and counter offer the thing, and then let them know the reason that you're leaving the company is because, well, I told y'all that I needed this salary and y'all chose not to give it to me, but I know for a fact somebody in the company with the same merits as me is making this amount of money, and for whatever reason you chose not to give me that money. Now, whether she got the salary increase or not, I'm sure she did, but is she gonna tell the world that? No, because I wouldn't tell the world that either.
I wouldn't tell the world like that. My conversation is not the. I mean, if I volunteer, I don't mind volunteering, but I'm not gonna put it on the easy platform for you to, say, hey, this person's getting that. Like, it's not for you at that point. And I do like the fact, like, and I think I agree with you. Like, I would cautiously, I don't know if I will always refer someone who need a job because, like you said, if it's a bad referral going bad, they look at you like, okay, well, you referred this person. However, I will give, advice. If I know someone's hired, I will refer you and drop a name or two and let you do the legwork for yourself. I might not always refer you because, like you said, like it's attached to your name. I had a lot of referrals going bad, and it makes it seem like, okay, well, they look at you like, okay, well, you referred this person. So sometimes you don't always want to put your name out there, and it ain't nothing bad. It's just like, you just want to protect your own image and your own likeness. But I'm never going, if I know a job is hiring or I know a particular position is open and I know this person might be qualified, I have no problem with saying I think you'll be a good fit. You should apply. Like, make sure you do the leg work. Cause I have to do the leg work to get my job, so you got to do the same thing. Like, do your own leg work. Like, might not drop a name though. I might not go that far because end of the day, in the competitive nature that I have, I'm never gonna put myself out there like, okay, well, yeah, like you brought so and so in here.
Well, I ain't gonna lie. The job that I'm leaving or that I left, um, I referred somebody and I did it within good merit. But I ain't even gonna lie. I'm so I'm so happy she stood them up. Because in my all I could think of is, dang, she already wanted to leave a bad situation. And I feel like she would have been going into a worse situation. So the fact that she did a no call, no show on them, even after getting the position or them trying to give her the position. And I mean, she had other things happen in her life that made it to where she couldn't get didn't take the position for whatever reason. But in a way, I'm just happy that God intervened and made it to where she didn't take that position, period.
Mm-hmm.
That's my biggest thing. Like, how do I go? I can't even. I'm at a place where I'm not happy. I don't want nobody else to come in and be unhappy. And I want to be like, even now, if I refer somebody to where I'm referring you because you can come over here and be happy. I don't want you to come over here and be miserable. And that's what I come to realize with that company. I was literally miserable.
Mm-hmm.
Them themselves thought that they had a hold on me, and when they found out that they didn't have a hold on me, then that's where the problem came in at. Because they literally felt I owed them something, and I don't owe them nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It literally became to me, it felt like I was an indentured servant to this company.
It's one thing to feel like you are, you going to work for a paycheck, but to feel like you are a servant, making for like slavery, so to speak, like you are like entitled, or like you are, you know, some type of enslaved to this particular company. That's never a good feeling. Like, it's never a good feeling when you feel like you gotta, almost sacrifice who you are as a person and what your morals or like your values to, be employed somewhere
Yeah,
toxic,
I'm.
toxic,
I,
so to speak. Like,
I hated that. Like, I literally, sorry if somebody commented and I'm trying to respond as people comment. Um, I just, I hated that. Like, I hated feeling like I was indebted to this company. And it's a sigh of relief for me. I mean, it was a sigh of relief when I left and decided that when I put my own foot down. And I think that I would have had the same outcome for myself, even if I did the other job lined up. Now, did I fight with myself, especially because the $17.30
most of our counterparts are now like being entrepreneurs, like they're leaving corporate America to go to entrepreneurship. How do you feel, and how do you feel like that's going? Do you feel like that's a wise decision to be an entrepreneur?
I think it's a very wise decision to be, because you start your own legacy, one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you literally, especially in the day and age that we live in, right? With everything that it is, like, right? Like, to some people, what I'm doing right now might be small and minute to them, right? But years later, who's to say what my name will become? And somebody can go back and be like, hey, she had a podcast. And this person was somebody I looked up to, and she followed her dreams. So what's small and minute to other people, you know what I'm saying, has to be big for you. And I think that's the problem. If you want to go be an entrepreneur, i.e. our friend Tay, right? I was so excited for her to start her boutique. But imagine how many people probably just look at her and be like, she just a typical girl from Detroit that started a boutique, right? So she already got the world against her, right? I'm going to be there for her. Where I can support, I'm going to support, even if it ain't nothing to do but hit a share button. You get what I'm saying? Same thing like with you. I know that you're into fitness. If you were to go somewhere and start a YouTube page doing workouts, I might not do your workouts because I'm a little lazy, but I'm going to hit the share button because you literally me sharing your video not only could help you, but it could lead to you helping somebody else who didn't know that Johnathan was a personal trainer, and he does
Mm-hmm.
amazing workout videos on YouTube, or he can help you with a fitness plan for little of whatever. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I might not financially pour into you per se out of my pocket, but that don't mean me hitting the share doesn't help pour into you some type of way. And
Now
so,
we opening
yeah,
up other cans of worms about support like that. That we can have a whole other podcast about that, because people don't realize it's the smallest things for support, and we not. You don't always know who's supporting you. Like the whole, like the like or the share. Like, it don't take you 2.2 seconds to share, into like something. But like I said, like you don't know how influential that is even now
But
with the podcast. Like you
even
don't know like who's
this conversation between us, like, is a lot for me, right? Because I was gonna ask you to be on my podcast, right? But I'm also at a place where I'm tired of asking people, and you get what I'm saying? Like, the support. I come support you in everything you do. You can't support me in one small thing. Like, you can't support me in like an hour and for an hour to 2 hours just to have a simple conversation, right?
conversation. Yeah, stuff that you already. I mean, as a friend, like I don't like something that we would do off of off record, like something. It's just a casual conversation. Like I just feel like me, like I said, I saw my longtime friend with a podcast. Like I wanted to sow a seed. Like you didn't have to ask me anything. I was going to volunteer. You know, you mentioned a topic. I found it was interesting and I can relate to it. I wanted to share my input. You know, with my likeness and giving my information and how my opinions are toward the object. But I feel like we as people, we have conditioned ourselves once again that crap in the barrel syndrome. You know, I want to
But
see somebody win, but I don't want them to see me doing something more than me. So it's like we have to align ourselves with like-minded people and just know where we putting our energy to.
the thing is, the crab in a barrel mentality is like just, I think, like some BS in itself, because a crab natural habitat is not a barrel. It actually is in the ocean doing whatever it does, you know, into a and sweeps up. You get what I'm saying? Pulls it out of its natural habitat and then puts it in a barrel, right? So yeah, you gonna fight to get to the top. But if we all in our natural habitat doing exactly what we're naturally meant to be doing, what barrel? And that's the problem. We have to even stop promoting that mentality in itself, because we are on work. If that's the case, then we are on worst enemies. We are on crab in a barrel. We are on. We don't have to have nobody else pull us down and weigh us down. If we keep thinking with that mentality, we gonna
We are
forever.
doing it to ourselves. Yeah, you do it to yourself if you don't change your way of thinking. But you have to make sure that you are as a person that you are open and willing to make those choices of like how change the way you think. Like you said, like I think of it more of a wide spectrum. Like when you help somebody else, you pull them out of their habitat, you into something more secure and more profitable. You open up that person's horizon.
I'm
So you're taking somebody with you.
I'm always do my best to help you elevate, right? But
Mm-hmm.
ain't no way I'm gonna reach up to grab you, right, and pull myself
Mm-hmm.
down. I'm not doing it. Call it selfish, maybe call it my one little selfishness to myself. But it's just like with this platform, right? Put you on this platform and let you say what I can sit back and let you talk, right? Right? I
Of course.
sit back and do all of that, right? I can even tell you the tools of how to go get your own podcast and X, Y, and Z, right? But I'm
Mm-hmm.
never going to sacrifice this platform just because you decided not to take the tools given to you.
Mm-hmm. I
And it's
agree.
kind of the same thing when it comes to siblings, right? How we all raised in the same household with the same morals, same values, but somehow because I chose to, what was the same thing, everything that was given to me was given to you. I just chose to go use it and maybe use it in a different way. How do you think that what I'm doing is
you
somehow better than you? How did I become
you a
you? I
troublemaker. you
have a podcast
you are a troublemaker.
because how did I get here, right? But
You are a troublemaker. You started to. You're gonna wake up every black household with
no,
you are a troublemaker. But no, it is. I agree. Like I agree exactly. Like especially like we are all afforded. And I'll use my husband for example. He always says it's like we was all afforded the same 24 hours within the day. What you choose to do with your 24 is your choice. You have a choice. You have a choice to be productive, and you have a choice to sit on your ass. Like every day, there's a different choice, and just be offended because I've made different choices that lead me in a different trajectory than you chose to. Like you can't be mad at that. Like because I made the decision to do X, Y, and Z, and you chose not to. That's was your choice. A you made a precise choice to not want to do or have more for yourself. So don't be mad at the next person because they made different choices and put them in different situations. I just feel like we as people need to step outside of ourselves and to realize that you hold your own destiny and
And that's it. And
hold people accountable.
that's it, and that's all. The problem is that when it comes to anything in this life is we don't hold ourselves accountable for not going after the things that we truly desire, right? I can
Mm-hmm.
a million times that I want to be a lawyer. It's only so many times you're gonna ask me what steps are you doing to become a lawyer? What steps are you doing to become a lawyer? And if I be like, oh, every day I'm just getting up, going to work, working this 9 to 5. Well, so you're not studying for the LSATs?
It does not set you up for success. Like you
You're not.
saying that you want to be this semi quote lawyer, but you're not taking no interest in your own craft. You're not reading no law books. You're not enrolling to nobody's law school. You're not taking no LSAT. You ain't practicing for no pre LSAT. Like you're doing nothing to set you up for success. So how do you expect for me to even support this said adventure you got for yourself? You ain't even putting in recognition for yourself. So how do I take you serious? And how do you want my support? Like
When it
how to
when it comes to these jobs, take that same accountability.
exactly.
Hold yourself loyal to who you are. Like, be who you meant to be. If you went and got a degree to go do something, granted, some degrees you go get, you ain't really thinking through because the salary ain't there what it's supposed to be, right? But at the same token, like if I knew what I knew now, like especially with
We
the
all will say that. Like we all, I know what you're
oh,
trying to say. Like if you knew what you know, you probably wouldn't even chose the degree path or whatever. But like we as people,
I would have. And let me tell you why. Because I have a bachelor's degree in criminal justice, right?
uh-huh.
Security is a thing of the world, right? Even
Yeah.
though they tell you like, oh, you can go be a probation officer, you can go be a parole this, you can go do this, do this. What I would have done differently, I would have never, and I'm gonna just say this because I don't really care. I never would have took a job as a loss prevention specialist at TJ Maxx because at the time, like I felt I took a job to survive. I took a job to survive. I never would have took that job. But did that job get me different places and different things? Yes. Was that another job where I got burned out on being loss prevention? If you've ever done loss prevention, you get burned out on that. I got burned out on it. But then when I started to express concerns that I wanted a promotion, and then they just was like, oh, well, we ain't gonna promote you. Well, I didn't care anyway because I was leaving Detroit anyway.
But that job was like a stimulus to get you into the workforce of like even getting you those motors going. So yes, I agree. Like it wasn't in your particular field. It didn't do
But it was
anything
but it
for
was a
your.
low ball. It was a low ball in my field. Not and
Mm-hmm.
not nobody that do loss prevention because they probably pay more now than what they paid 9 years ago. But I will say for what all I had to do back then, oh, what was we making like $8.50? That wasn't enough.
But you are at 35 are not the same person who you are in your
No,
30s. You have to grow
and that
and you have to know your value. Like you have to learn your value. Like even me, like in the personal life, educational, and career wise, like things we probably subjected ourselves to when we were in our early 20s, graduating college. So now we got a little older. We have experienced life, had a couple of losses, took a couple of L's. So we now are in a place where you have learned, your worth and you know what you are willing to accept and what you're not willing to accept. So
and that's another thing too. I used to think that Detroit was it for me, right? I mean, I knew I wanted to.
yeah, I did too.
I believe, but if I had it my way, I would have made a living in
Out of
Detroit.
Detroit, I would have had to make it work, and what I probably would have settled because like it was not there. And this is just to go to say to anybody else who's watching this, sometimes you might have to take a leap of faith, and it might not be Detroit. So if you are watching this, I had to learn this the hard way. Sometimes like just because we are, and most of the time I would say this, I'm a backpedal. Well, when you go to college, we went to college in Detroit. Most of the time when you go to college, you probably if you moved to Ohio and went to Ohio State or went to a college in Ohio, you probably stayed in
Oh,
Ohio
it was
after you got done.
cool. They went to ball. I think Carlotta went to ball. It don't matter because she a doctor now. She on here. You see her name, Dr.
Yeah, I
Carlotta
see it.
Prince. But I think she went to like Bowling. I could be wrong. I think she went to Bowling Green though. But go ahead.
Yeah, so you mostly like you go to Ohio, you probably stay in Ohio. Like sometimes we got to take a leap of faith, and like you said, you had to leave. You left Detroit, you went to Virginia, and then you wind up being in Vegas. Like sometimes you got to take the leap of faith, and like your trajectory, like you never know where you're gonna end up. Yes, leaving Detroit was, like you said earlier, it was scary because like you're accustomed to with the family you grew up in, the social settings. You know, you've grown to know what's familiar to you. So yeah, coming out here was different, but career wise and financially, it was a better move for myself and my family. So it was better. So just because you are in a situation does not mean you have to stay there. Like if that means like looking for jobs outside of your state, you got to take that chance. If you know you want more and you're not getting more where you at, like have faith, and you might have to lose. It's scary, yes it is. Is it costly? Yes it is. But I feel like
But
if it benefits your mental and also your career, take the risk.
but
Like,
what I'm finding is some of these companies, again, it's all about the, in the words of, because I've never heard nobody else say it. In the words of my God sister Marianne, sometimes it's about the gift of the gab. Because if you come in and you talk right, not only do you have the qualifications right, but you talking right, right? I've learned that you can actually make these companies pay for you to move. Now, granted, you're going under contract that if you don't stay with these companies for a certain amount of time, you may have to pay them back what it costs to help you move. Like I know a lot of people that's going through that with like Amazon and different companies like that, where they took the relocation fees and moved. But say, for example, like for my mama, right? My mama always talked about how she used to work for Uniroyal, which if a lot of people don't know what Uniroyal is, if you ever run down or you see that big old tire, Uniroyal.
mm-hmm.
So Detroit, right by Belle Isle, right by Belle Isle, like right specifically by the Belle Isle Bridge. It used to be a big, big tire factory that was right there. That piece of land, it was a tire factory that was there. And anyway, Uniroyal decided that they were and going to Alabama and a couple of other places, but they were going to pay for people to relocate. And I think this was another reason that motivated me to follow my dreams and just go ahead and go, is because my mom actually had the chance to move on Uniroyal, not under contract, where they were going to pay for her to relocate, go somewhere else, live a better life, and whatever X, Y, and Z. And she chose. Now she said she stayed because of my grandma. And she always used to make a comment to me, I'm not going to do you like my mama did me. Well, you ain't, and you can't. Now, I'm going to move, if you move with me, right?
I think that's a cultural thing. I think, and I hate to say this, I used to hear that all the time too. Culturally, families kind of make you feel bad, and they tell you, "Oh, I sacrificed X, Y, and Z for this," and then they make you feel bad. But that's a thing we got to let go of, people. Like you got to live your life for you. You only get one life. You have to live your life for you. You cannot, say I'm gotta say this. I'm living for X, Y, Z. Like I don't want to put religion in this, but just know God makes ways, or universe, if you whatever you want to say.
Now,
Like if you have a strong conviction,
I'm,
you would get up and just got to make it work. Like,
I'm going to put God, and let me tell you why I'm going to put God in it, right? Because, and my cousin Tierra, she hate for me to do this. But one thing moving from Detroit let me know is that I can literally stand on my own 2 feet. Okay. And it didn't take no money. It took this is all faith. This was in God's this was me actually finding the God in me. This was me literally. I seen one of the guests that was on my show about sickle cell Clifton, that the mountain was always a metaphor. That anything that I come up against this life with my mind and my heart and my spirit and everything that makes up the sum of Alina, I can move it. If I just could imagine it, I can do it. But it's about being able to have the confidence in yourself to do it. And has this journey been lonely? Very, very lonely. Has this journey felt very unsupportive at times? Yeah.
of course, I can imagine like you
Uh,
relocating yourself from all these miles across the world. Like when you are now creating your new social setting, like the social setting you had, like that get a little strained because you're so many miles away. But you have to. It's like you found your new normal, and I have dealt with all that. Like it's just a matter of you learning. Yeah, like you said, like I'm a big person who believes in God. Like God makes ways, and you have a little bit of faith. Those doors open up for you. Like I feel like you only gonna put yourself out there so much. So if you put yourself out there to attract what you're giving out, you'll get it back. And that whole thing about family, like we as people, we got to let that go. People who try to live your life for you and live their life too, and it just can't happen. You got to live your own life.
Yeah, because it's like a car. And this is the thing that I'm teaching myself about road rage. Alina, you can only drive one car.
Yeah.
And I ain't like park this car, then go up there and drive that car, then because then my car becomes abandoned. Meaning someone else is then left to get in my car and get beyond the driver's seat and drive it for me. So I'm learning to focus on driving the car,
your own car,
that
the car that you are presented with. Like, you only drive your car. My one of my best friends always tell me, you can only control your temple. You can't worry about anybody else that's in front. You can only control what you have. As much as it pains you to want to, help out X, Y, and Z and try to work out this person's problem, or trying to figure out why this person is acting the way they are, you can only control you. Like, you may feel for these people, and I think when you have a heart, you care about people. But at the end of the day, you can only control yourself, and that's to tie in back with the whole career thing. Like, you can only control your own destiny. So look out for your own self. So if you know this ain't what you really want, and you know you ain't progressing, and it ain't really what you need, and it's gonna make you poor, you gotta live for yourself and do what's gonna be best for you. Like, that's.
But and that would be my word to entrepreneurship. If don't none of these jobs fit for you, see, that's the real thing of it. Is most of the businesses that we work for, literally somebody else's job didn't work for them. So they started something that worked for them. Now they got people that work for them. And now you feel inferior because, I mean, and it's funny that just hit me like that. Literally every company that you choose to work for started that company because
It's a small business. It wasn't always as big as it was. It was always a small business. Nobody came out the gate with a large platform. Every business was a small business. It was a minute idea that took forth. You had to network, and you had to have a trial and error period to see what worked, what didn't work. So, I mean, you got to go small to start big. So, yes, every business started out small. Now, whether you got the longevity to stay with this plan is to you.
I think in our community it was always promoted, like if you had different things under your belt that you couldn't do it. So meaning if you was a felon or you was this or you didn't, but it's literally people that don't look like us, that don't even have a high school diploma, that have started billion-dollar businesses.
Corporations, yeah.
So go do, because this is the thing, and we're not taught this, and I'm gonna make this a part two. I wonder, did it just blur me out? Why did it blur me out like this? Okay, they might be getting ready to shut us down. So I'm gonna say this real quick, and then we can do this as a part two. It costs little or nothing to get an LLC. Put an LLC behind your name. Go make yourself a business. Why did they blur me out? I'm so mad that I'm blurry. Am I blurry on your side too?
Yeah, they probably said we done.